Hare Krishna. So, instead of Hanuman, you have a spider here. Hare Krishna. So, I bless you. I ask you for a blessing. Please, Maharaj, bless me that I can say anything of value. Hare Krishna. So, we are discussing the items of surrender. And we have already discussed 4 items of surrender. Anukulyasa sankalpaha, that means to accept what is favorable for devotional service. Pratikulyasya varjanam, to reject everything that is unfavorable for devotional service. Rakshishati vishvaso, to have firm faith that the Lord will always protect us. And goptritve vranam, that we trust, in fact, that we depend completely on Lord's maintenance, and have basically to be completely dependent on His mercy. And we said that this is the gist of surrender. It's to be completely dependent on Lord's mercy. And today we will discuss the 5th item of surrender, and this is atma-niksepa. We know other expression more, we use it more commonly as atma-nivedanam. Atma-niksepa, atma means of course the self or soul or heart, and nikshepa means to fall down or to submit. So atma-niksepa means to submit ourselves completely to the Lord. And as we know from Bhagavad-gita, the most famous verse speaks about such a surrender. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishimi ma shucha. So abandon all types of dharma, all types of religion, and just surrender unto me. Mam ekam, only to me. Ekam means one. You shouldn't surrender to many things, but we should surrender to one Lord. Yes. This is also expressed in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad-gita. Vyavasayatmika buddhire keha kurunandana bahushaka hyanantascha buddhayo vyavasayanam. That those who are resolute, they have only one goal in their mind. That means that they surrender to only one thing, and this is of course Krishna. Because people in this world are surrendered to unlimited things. Yes. Who knows to how many things we are attached to? Yes. We are attached to our cell phone. We are attached to our computer. I have a problem because my screen of my computer went off. Yes. So I live in separation from my computer. And of course we are attached to our loved ones, to our family, to our children, to our friends, to our parents. Who knows all our attachments? Even we don't know to how many how many attachments we have. So these other attachments are shelters also. So sarva dharmam parityajya means not just our dharmas, because dharma means something we believe that it can improve our life, that can give some quality of our life. This is dharma. So we should abandon all these different dharmas. We can achieve supreme auspiciousness only from Krishna and from nothing else. And therefore, for a devotee, it's naturally to completely surrender to the Lord. His whole existence. And this is, of course, our heart is our existence. So we should surrender our heart to Krishna. And in Bible, it is very interesting description of the Lord. It is said that the Lord is jealous God. Jealous, yes. Maybe you have heard this. The Lord is jealous God. Yes, but usually we perceive jealousy as something a bad quality, isn't it? But we also say the same thing, but with different expression. The Lord is absolutely detached, unattached to things. So if we, there is no scope for two lords. If you are attached to something, then Krishna will let us be attached to this thing or to this someone else, because he's not attached. So if you think, if you believe that you can improve your quality of your life by attachment to this person or to this thing, then go and try. Go and try. And I can wait. I have all the time on my command. Yes. So I can wait all eternity for you to surrender to me. Yes. So, therefore, great souls, they want to surrender only to Krishna and nothing else. And also Queen Kunti prayed, Atha Vishvatma Vishwamurti Svakeshu me Sneha Pashamindam Trindri Dridam Pandishu Vrishnishu. That, please, Lord, sever my all attachments, even to Pandavas and Vrishnis, who are pure devotees of the Lord and eternal associates of the Lord even, not just pure devotees. Please sever my attachments to Pandavas and Vrishnis. Tvayi menanya vishaya matir madhubati sakrit rati mudvahata tada gauga bhangama danvati. And let my attraction flows only to you, like river Ganges. Yes. So this is atma-niksepa, to be completely surrendered only to Krishna. Of course, we have loving relationships in this world, but only through Krishna. Only through Krishna should be our meditation. And we should see all relationships as that Krishna put us in certain relationships as a servant, not as a master or someone who can enjoy the relationship, but as someone who should serve in certain relationship, either as a father or mother, or husband or wife, or son or daughter, or friend. In every possible relationship, even teacher and disciple or student, is a position of a servant. Every position we have in this world, we should perceive as service that was dedicated to me by Krishna for his pleasure. Yes. And we have many examples of completely surrendered personalities in our scriptures. And the most famous example, of course, are the gopis from Vrindavan. Usually we mention Maharaj Ambarish in connection with atma-nivedanam. And we speak on atma-niksepa, which is the same thing in essence. So, but we discussed Maharaj Ambarish on one of our lectures. So we'll speak a little bit about the gopis of Vrindavan. Once at the time of the full moon, in first full moon in the autumn, Krishna's mind was inclined to enjoy association of gopis, and he started to play on his flute. And this flute acted like a thief. It plundered completely the gopis' mind. And this thief didn't consider gopis' ornaments or wealth to be worthy of plundering. Only their hearts were worthy of plundering. So we cannot, but this is very instructive for us. We cannot buy Krishna by some external endeavors or offering our money or time or anything if our heart is not offered. Because Krishna is not interested in our external things or endeavors even. Not in our service either. He's bhavagrahi, Janardana. He wants our bhava, our heart, our consciousness. Therefore, this is a Krishna consciousness movement. It's not Krishna service movement. Of course, we serve Krishna, and we cannot offer our heart without service. This is connected. But many people are serving in this world not happily. So, if we perform our service to Krishna not happily, then he will consider that this is not a devotional service. It may be service, but definitely not devotional service. Then we expect something else from our service if we perform our service unwillingly or unhappily. Because many people go to work every day unhappily, isn't it? But they expect something from their work. So if we perform our service to Krishna unhappily, we also expect something else. from this work, from this service. Yes. And therefore Krishna will give us what we expect, but he will not give us his heart. This is very important to understand, because devotees many times say, I just want to go back home, back to Godhead. Isn't it? Have you heard something like this before? And this is our jargon, or how they say, to go back home, back to Godhead. But what we really mean by this, to go back home, back to Godhead. Usually we understand this going back home, back to Godhead as enjoyment. We'll go back home, back to Godhead to be free from all our miseries and to enjoy, isn't it? So this is our expression. I want to go just back home, back to Godhead. But what it really means, I want heavenly pleasures. So, if we don't offer our heart to Krishna, but we say, I want just go back home, back to Godhead, Krishna knows. You want heavenly enjoyments. So, he will offer us heavenly enjoyments, because we want this. We say something, but Krishna knows what does it mean. Yes. So it's important not to be fooled by expressions, but we should put our focus on our heart. Yes. So back home, back to Godhead is only service, devotional service, not unwilling service. Yes, devotional service with love. The focus is on Krishna, on Krishna's pleasure. Our whole life is meant for Krishna's pleasure. And if we pray for this, for service, then we really want to go back home, back to Godhead. And we can live in spiritual world now, not after our death only. Because yam yam vapi smaram bhavan tyajantyanti kalivaram tantam aveti kaunta sadatad bhava bhavita. Whatever state of consciousness one has at the time of death, he will inevitably attain such a state. There is no miracle at the time of death. Yes. Death itself has no power to perform miracles. It's not described anywhere in Shastra that death can perform miracles. Yes. So, on our consciousness depends our life. So it's really important to develop this bhav, gopi bhav. Yes, this is one of the items Lord Chaitanya accepted from Kumara Nimbarka Sampradaya. And we are discussing gopis. And gopis left immediately everything when they heard Krishna's flute. Whatever they did, they just dropped it at the spot. And some of the gopis were serving their in-laws, their husbands and their in-laws. And they just left. Dropped everything and left. Some of the gopis were baking their cakes, and they didn't even turn off the oven, just left. Some of the gopis were milking cows and they just left. Some of the gopis were breastfeeding their babies and they just put them off and left. Yes. Are we ready to drop everything and just leave? Maybe someone thinks, I have just to perform this task. I have to call my wife. Sorry, Krishna is calling me. I won't be back. Or I would just like to see this friend or my children before I go. No, gopis just dropped everything. And went to deep, dark forest. Can you imagine? These forests weren't like forests here in Europe. Because all the beasts are practically killed. And no ferocious animals are living in the forests. But there were ferocious animals. These forests were infested with ferocious animals. And even now, if you go in the dead of night in the forest in Europe, you will not feel comfortable. There is some anxiety. And especially if you hear something cracking behind us. But yes, gopis were just running. They didn't bother about anything else. They had just Krishna in their mind. So, this is atma-niksepa. And when they came to Krishna, Krishna played tricks with them. He said, "Oh, it's very nice that you came here. Have you come here to enjoy the scenery? To pick flowers during this time of night? It's not proper time for picking flowers. And it's not proper for us to associate your young, beautiful ladies, and I'm young, beautiful boy." So it's not proper to associate. Although I'm famous as brahmachari, as is stated in Gopal Tapani Upanishad, that Krishna is brahmachari. Yes. And you are also famous as very chaste, but it's not proper. We shouldn't have trust in the mind. And we discussed already this trust to the mind. The mind is our worst enemy. And if we control it, it can become a friend, but it's not an ordinary friend. We should never trust such a friend. Yes. It is explained by Shukadeva Goswami. We also said this before, but it's good to know that if one trusts his mind, he's like a husband of a prostitute. Yes, because he will definitely be cheated by the lovers of such a wife. And as Prabhupada says, that he will be killed by them. So if one trusts his mind, he's just naive fool. Yes. So we shouldn't trust our mind. And there is another example of historical example of atma-niksepa. And we don't usually hear this story, so I would like to hear, to speak a story of Mirabai, a famous poet of India. She was completely dedicated to Lord Krishna. When she was 4 years old, there was a marriage going on, and Mira asked her mother, and who will be my groom? And her mother pointed to Lord Krishna's deity, and she became completely in love with Krishna. She accepted him on the spot as her husband. And she grew with this idea, yes, Krishna is my husband. My mother said so. Yes, Krishna is my husband. And she always kept this mood that Krishna is her husband. And of course, because it's customary, she was married to some other boy, to the prince actually. She was from royal family, and she was married to a prince from other family. And but she was always just in love with Krishna. And this was very disliked by their in-laws, by her mother-in-law, especially. She wanted her to worship Durga Ma. Yes, but she didn't want to worship and she explained that I'm devoted only to Krishna. And they hated this idea. And she went every day during the night in the temple of Krishna and worshipped him, and she was singing to him and talking to him. And then one day the sister of her husband told her brother, that means the husband of Mira, that her wife Mira is cheating him by some other lover. And he became really furious. And they went together in the middle of the night in this temple to see how Mira is cheating him. And they heard Mira was speaking these loving words to some lover, and his husband became furious and wanted that Mira brings her lover to him, that he will destroy him. And she pointed out to Krishna, to Krishna's deity. He's my Lord, the Lord of my heart. And he was really disappointed that she dedicated her heart to someone else, not to him. And then her father-in-law died, and her brother-in-law, this brother of her husband, was coronated as next king. And her brother-in-law really hated her. And one sent to her a bouquet of flowers with a snake inside of the flowers. And in some basket. And when she opened this basket, this snake turned to Krishna's murti. Yes, Krishna deity. And next time he gave her poisoned prasad, Krishna prasad, poisoned. And although she knew that it's poisoned, but she also knew that it's Krishna prasad. So she accepted it as Krishna prasad. And the poison didn't work on her. And she was famous all over India uh, by her singing, nice voice of her devotional songs to Krishna. And she was so famous that she attracted also the Emperor Akbar and a famous singer, Tansen. And they both they went undercover to this temple to hear Mira singing to the Lord. And her husband knew this. He found out, and he became furious. And he ordered to his wife to go to the river and drown herself. And she faithfully followed her husband's instruction. She went to the river and she jumped, but someone held her. And when she looked back, it was Krishna. And he took her on his lap. And she lost her consciousness. But then Lord said, you're just mine, and you will always be mine. And so now you are free from all material attachments and bondage. So now you can go to Vrindavan. And so she left and went to Vrindavan. And then later on, her husband found out that she's in Vrindavan. And he came there, but she didn't want to return. She was relieved of her worldly bondage. Yes. So this is a historical example of atma-niksepa. And we should take this example in our heart of the gopis and of this Mirabai. And there are innumerable examples in our scriptures how one should surrender to Krishna. There is an example of King Bharat, for example. Do you know how it is explained that he left his kingdom? Sorry? How King Bharat left his kingdom? In what? Yes, in what mood? Sorry? Have an idea? It's explained like a stool. He left everything like a stool. When we go to the toilet, we don't feel sorry for what we leave inside. We just go away without any regret. Yes. In the same way, King Bharat just left without any regret whatsoever. Although he was an emperor of the whole world, everyone was at his command. He has a beautiful wife and children, obedient children. Yes. But he just left on the spot, like the gopis, or like Mirabai. So we should also leave our material life on the spot and surrender to Krishna. That doesn't mean that we leave our family, our children, but we should accept them, everything, as Krishna representatives. And that he personally put us in this position, that we are their servants. as we mentioned at the beginning. Hare Krishna. Is there any question or doubt or comment? Yes, please.
Maybe just a comment in my mind. It was from Chaitanya Charan. One of the most important verse for him in the Bhagavad Gita, according to surrender, is the 2.7. Because without the 2.7, there will be no Bhagavad Gita. And it is Arjuna says, I'm surrendering to you, my Lord. But without the verse 2.7, no Bhagavad Gita.
Yes, thank you that you mentioned this verse. Karpanya dasho pahata svabhapaha prichami tvan dharma samuda cheta yakshayaksam nishitam bruhitan me shishyastiham shadimam tvam prapannam. I'm confused. Please instruct me. What is most beneficial for me? I'm now completely surrendered, so. But just after he said this, he said, but I won't fight. So what kind of surrender is this? This is a false surrender. I won't fight. So imagine you come to your spiritual master and say, I'm completely surrendered to you, but I won't do what you ask for me. But yes, I'm surrendered. So this is very instructive, that we shouldn't follow this example of Arjuna. And therefore it is explained that Krishna was smiling when he heard such a surrender of Arjuna. Yes. Prahasaniva Bharata. Like he was smiling. Yes. So, we should know what is proper surrender and what's not proper surrender. This is an example of improper surrender. But of course, the intention was there. So Krishna taught him Bhagavad Gita because Arjuna played the role of illusioned living entity. And it's characteristic for illusioned living entity that it thinks that I'm surrendered, but actually it's not surrendered. Yes. And therefore Krishna taught him Bhagavad Gita that he would realize that really I'm not surrendered. I have to surrender. Yes. And this is the process of Krishna consciousness.
In the Bhagavad Gita, when was Arjuna really surrendered?
He explained in the beginning of 11th chapter. What is the verse? Anyone remembers? The 11th chapter, he explains that yes, I accept what you're saying is true. Can anyone check? And
was it after the universal form or before?
Before. At the beginning, the first verse of 11th chapter.
By hearing the instructions,
yes,
you have kindly given me about these most confidential spiritual subjects. My illusion has now been dispelled.
Yes, my illusion is now being dispelled when I heard your spiritual knowledge. And then in the 10th chapter he explains that he accepts Krishna as Parabrahma, Paramdhamma, Pavitram Idam Uttamam. Yes. That he's the Supreme Spirit and that everyone glorifies him. And that is confirmed also by great sages like Asita, Devala, Vyasa, Narada. Yes. So at the beginning of 11th chapter, he declares that he's now understood, and actually that he's surrendered. And 11th chapter is also important because Krishna explains in the second last verse of 11th chapter, Bhaktya tvananya shakya aham evam virdorjuna gyatun drashtun cha tatvana praveshtun cha parantapa. That I can be known only by devotional service, by pure devotional service. Bhaktya tvananya shakya. Anya means other. Ananya means not other. That means only by devotional service, only pure devotional service. Ananya bhakti. Ananya bhakti. Yes. So we should cultivate ananya bhakti. Discard all other desires and tendencies for other desires. And just surrender to Krishna. Atma-niksepa. Hare Krishna. Any other thought or question? Comment?
Let me ask you something about, you talk about different surrender, service. You give you example, the people sometimes outside serving something, or you want to get something for the service for them. It's a spiritual world, somebody has a service, but you want to get something, spiritual stuff, spiritual desire, but devote service, but he think, okay, I serve Krishna, I serve the devotees, but I need to get something for this service. I think it's different. People serve outside, get something, the spiritual, people, devotees serve, but think they get something also. Some pure devotee no need to get nothing, only think, okay, I need service, I need devotee association, and I need to get nothing about my service. But when the devotee think, I service, but I need something also. It's different.
If I understood you correctly, that pure devotee is serving to...
Yes, yeah. People outside go to work.
Yes.
But I want to get something for the work.
Yes.
Devotees doing your seva every day.
Yes.
See, devotees think they get something for my seva also. I talk about myself. I doing my service every day. I cook. I doing the Purujari service, but I need something from Krishna.
Oh yes, I understand. This is very important to understand, especially in communities like temple communities or farm communities, even more, because we tend to expect that yes, I'm performing my service year after year, and I expect that I will be careful by devotees, that everything will be okay, that devotees are obliged to care for me. But this is not unconditional service. This is not a hetuki bhakti. And when I'm old, they have to look after me because I put so much service during my life. But this is not a hetuki bhakti. This is material mentality. This Vanik mentality, as puts Prahlad Maharaj in 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, when Lord Nrsimhadev pushed Prahlad to accept some boon from him, he said, you are my Lord eternally, and I'm eternally your servant. And if I would ask anything from you, that would be Vanik mentality. Vanik means merchant. So, and please don't put me in this position. I don't want to be Vanik. I don't want to be a merchant. I'm just a servant, and this is a perfect position to be a servant. So yes, if we have these expectations from anyone, because I put so much service, I should be careful. My needs should be tended properly. This is not service mentality. This is still material mentality. To expect something in return for our service. And it is very deep ingrained because we were born with this from time immemorial. So, therefore, it's so important to hear about pure devotional service, because Prabhupada brought in this world pure devotional service, not adulterated devotional service. Because we have opportunity to engage in adulterated religions everywhere. But if we spoil this movement of pure devotional service, we'll spoil our unique opportunity to develop pure love of God. Because nowhere else can be developed. Only here, by Prabhupada's mercy. But only if we have proper understanding of pure devotional service. Therefore, it's so crucial to understand what is pure devotional service and what is mixed devotional service. And therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, just a few days ago was his disappearance day, and he said that this Sambandha Gyan is so important. We think, yes, I know Krishna is God, I'm his servant. But this is not enough. If we don't know what is pure devotional service, what is mixed, very deeply, like this we discuss now, then we'll miss the goal. Because our sadhya depends on our sadhana. So if we practice mixed devotional service, our goal will not be pure. Prabhupada said once that if you have a desire for one chocolate, you'll get the body to taste it. Sorry? If you have a desire for one chocolate, you'll get the body to taste it. The chocolate. Yes. Hare Krishna. Anything else? If not, I thank you very much for your attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari. Please accept my heart.